Oh, hey guys, and we are live here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. Thank you for bearing with us. We're trying to improve some of the technical issues that we've been having, our production values. So hopefully this is a higher bit rate than normal because that's been annoying me. So yeah, welcome to the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, Periscope, Twitch, and of course YouTube events. So thank you YouTube for making this a lot harder than it needs to be. My name is Darragh O'Connor, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Dave Stevens. Dave, welcome back to the airwaves.
Yeah, it's a great day for wrestling, everybody. Welcome back to the only show hosted by people that don't hate wrestling.
And why we don't hate wrestling? Because we don't watch the current product, or we don't cover the current product. You know, it's funny. We got a comment on one of our channels from Ian. Ian, thanks very much. And he says, "Cover more SmackDown. It's the best thing." And I'm like, "Not on your life, my friend."
I was much more polite in my response to his comment, by the way. I said, we'll try. Because honestly, we do cover a little SmackDown. And you want SmackDown covered, my friend. We are covering SmackDown tonight. I know what you meant, though.
Oh, but absolutely.
Is there a week that goes by where we don't mention at least a little bit of SmackDown? I mean, that's the only place there's one good wrestler. So, I mean,
oh, exactly. Like, here's the thing. You know, current WWE, we just don't. It's not fun. There's that. It's just that classic champions thing was.
Oh, we tried, guys. We tried.
Yeah, it was like watching it. I was like, "Will it cover?" I'm like, "No, you know what? It's my birthday week. I'm not going to ruin my birthday week by talking about a show that made me glad I don't cover wrestling."
Listen, we could barely get through predictions. We just gave up, basically. And then I turned the show on. I watched the first match, and it happened to be the only match I cared about. And I couldn't tell you. I don't know anything else that happened on the show.
That's fair.
The first match was great. It was innovative. They gave it like 40 minutes. The results were exactly what we expected it to be. Sami Zayn won. That's all you got to watch.
Exactly. And that was it, you know? So
innovative stuff, though, I will say. There was stuff in there I've never seen before. And Jeff Hardy, man, it was okay. I know we didn't mean to do this, but I'm just going to do this super quick. It was evident from the entrances that Sami Zayn was going to win, and that bothered me.
Yeah. Well,
AJ came out with his normal, all right, I'm going to do like my best performance and all that, but he didn't have that kind of swagger that he kind of gets when he goes into bulldog mode. So I was like, okay, AJ's not winning, fine. Hardy came out and it was bizarre. He was almost treating it like not a retirement match, but this is kind of one of the last matches of this kind I'm going to do in WWE before I go elsewhere. He had that vibe about him and his attire and his face paint. And then Zayn came out with a whole new character, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I love the whole handcuff thing. Well done. So TLC, great. Rest of that match, rest of that card, don't watch it, guys. It's not worth it.
Look, and I said, I was happy that the first match was the only match I cared about, because then I could just kind of tune off.
Yeah.
And even last week there was NXT, or this week there was NXT, and I was like, yeah, I'm not.
Wait, really?
There was an NXT
popped up on the network, and I thought that was a rerun.
No, it was like there was an NXT show, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just not gonna watch it because I don't care, and I was too hungover at that point to care.
Well, that's fair.
I was like, I'm just not gonna. No, I will watch the Finn Balor match because apparently it is probably one of the best matches of the year.
Not the Iron Man crap, right?
No, this was
okay.
This was the match after that.
Okay, but you know why I don't watch NXT, right?
Why?
Have I been open about this?
No.
Charlotte Flair.
Oh,
I refuse.
That's fair.
I refuse.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. No problem. I totally understand why. But yeah, so with that kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, look, I'm not gonna cover that stuff because it's not fun for me. We will be covering more Impact Wrestling stuff because that's actually interesting. And
I know, of all things, who would think in the year 2020 that we're hype about Impact Wrestling? But I am.
Yeah,
ever since Slammiversary, I've been wanting to get more into it.
And they had Victory Road during the week. So I will be watching that, and we'll probably do a special on that. And also, you know what? They provide stuff for us to watch. It's pretty straightforward. WWE don't. They make it very difficult to watch the product, and it's a bad product. And AEW, well, I've already seen WCW, so
shots fired, ladies and gentlemen.
True. But with Impact Wrestling, they make it super easy to find their content. It's they're after getting a bunch of new deals as well here over in the UK and Ireland. So it's like, I'm sorry. This is a better product, you know, and it's not insulting. Everything there is at least as interesting. But my recommendation would be that you get the network, you go to the 1st of February 2001, and you pull up SmackDown Xtreme. Because that's what we're going to be covering today, folks. We're going to be covering
Yeah, we
the
are.
best episode of SmackDown that you've never seen because you forgot about it. Or in Dave's case, you never saw it to begin with and didn't know it existed.
Nope. I've never heard of it until Darragh had brought it up that you need to watch this. You're really going to appreciate it. And boy, did I ever.
Yeah, it's like I love this show. I know I love this show so much, and I was so enamored by it as a child that you know the way everyone has like wrestling action figures and stuff when you're a kid, and if you were like me, you booked your own show.
Yeah, and I had a ring as well.
Yeah, I had a ring.
Yep.
I had like, and then you had the aprons, and you know, I had a couple of entrances and stuff. But
Mhm.
I'd book my own show, so
Absolutely.
I'd have the little book that would keep track of everything in it. SmackDown
Oh
Extreme, yeah, and
wow.
I always do keep a running list of all the champions and stuff like that. So, you know, do it right. So,
You know what's interesting?
well,
All of my figures, for whatever reason, were from like the late 80s and early 90s. So Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan won every match
oh,
that was
fair.
ever wrestled inside my WWF wrestling ring.
I had a bunch of WCW figures as well.
Oh,
I had like,
they were not allowed.
oh, that's fair. I had load
Get out of here with that.
thanks for thanks to going to America for so much. I had loads of ECW weapons as well.
Oh,
So like
okay.
there was a lot of weapons matches and stuff like that as well. But anyway, SmackDown Extreme was like something that would always be done even as a kid. It would just be, you know, that's what you do because that's the impression this made on me because I was like, this is the most unique thing that I've seen ever because SmackDown used to be on Sky One Saturday morning. So they'd show it and obviously they'd edit it down and stuff like that. But this just kind of happened randomly out of nowhere. No build, no nothing. It was just there. Now, to set context for this, right? This was when ECW was still running. This is when WCW was still running. Uh,
Barely.
well, barely. You know, I think they
The
were.
buyout was what, in March?
Yeah, so we're
So
about
like we're talking about like a month.
a month. Yeah, and ECW it was done, but you know, Paul Heyman was still saying it was around. But what was interesting about this was there was a lot of little jabs in this one. I think this was done deliberately to kind of like hint to what was coming. The Attitude Era would die a month later at WrestleMania. That's kind of like the death of the Attitude Era.
Okay.
Canonically, yeah, that's when they said
Which WrestleMania is that? What number?
X7,
Oh, okay.
which we will get to X7, the best WrestleMania of all time.
Wait,
Um,
really? Better
yeah,
than 19?
yeah, it's so much better.
Well, okay, Triple H ruined 19, so that's fair.
Fair. But
You
no,
can't dispute that.
no, I can't. I can't. X7 is canonically though the end of the Attitude Era and the beginning of
Okay.
the Invasion, right? So this is weird because this watching this show, it does so much and it's in such a weird time period where you're like, okay, I actually thought this was a little bit later on, or a year before, but going back and rewatching it, so much happens in this that is later on very, very important. So to set this in place, this is like a couple of days. It's actually like what a week after the Royal Rumble 2001, which is fantastic. One of the best ladder matches of all time. My
Mhm.
favorite Royal Rumble match.
Gotcha. Yep.
A fantastic, you know, great win by Austin in the Royal Rumble. It's really good. We will obviously cover it.
This was his second, correct?
Yeah,
Of the
yeah.
back-to-backs?
DS was the second of the back to backs. Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, wait, hold on. No, no, sorry, he didn't win a back to back. The
He
Rock,
did? Did
the
he do
Rock,
99 and then 2001?
he no 97 and 98 and 2001.
Oh, those are the back. Oh, he won
Yeah,
three. Yeah, okay.
because the Rock and Big Show won in 2000. So
Right.
yeah, we will get to that, and I think the Royal Rumble season will like do a bunch of Royal Rumbles because you know why
Yeah.
not? We'll do one a
Royal
week.
Rumble
I think.
95, baby.
Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, look, so this whole thing is doing a lot of it's wearing a lot of hats. And the
Mhm.
biggest hat that's wearing is we're kind of transitioning towards WrestleMania, but also they kind of knew that ECW was going down, and we have to get Triple H really, pushing forward, because they still weren't sure exactly what was going to happen. Rock was still just kind of floating, and this show is interesting because like you can see how convoluted the main event scene had got and how packed it was.
Yeah, a lot of main event talents.
Yeah,
a lot of main event talents all throughout the card, and we don't have that nowadays.
but here's what was interesting, right? With the buyout of WCW, it would introduce the second tier, which would be the WCW belt. But you can also see how kind of structured, how more entertaining this show was, because, as you said, main event talent throughout the whole card, everything kind of made sense. And the IC belt there was held by Jericho, who was absolutely kicking ass.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of the year, literally this year, Jericho would hold both belts and be forgotten about in a couple of months. So it's like, we had a massive retrograde in a lot of sense.
There was only one match on this card that was a dud. And that's impressive to me.
Yeah, well, this was like a main event. This was like a pay-per-view.
It was.
On a Thursday, which was
like, if you had told me this week on Raw, tune in, and it's going to be one of the best Raws you've ever seen, and I tuned in and it wasn't Randy Orton sitting in a dark room doing a monologue for 10 minutes and then go to commercial when he gets beat up, maybe I wouldn't have turned the show off and just turned on SmackDown Xtreme and did prep for our podcast. Like maybe you could keep me engaged in the product.
But see, like there wasn't really even anything different about the show. It was just like, we're going to go put this together and it's going to have everything that you want. Like it had to feel, it wasn't super long, which was great. And
an hour and a half when you watch it on the network, guys.
And everything,
it's fantastic.
And everything in it felt important, with the exception of the one dud match, which we'll get to.
So let's talk. Let's go through these matches.
Yeah. So
we set it up.
So the show was Michael. Okay, so here's what's more interesting, right?
Well, wait. We forgot one important piece of setup that I think history-wise is very important.
Go for it.
The reason that it's called SmackDown Xtreme and they use the X instead of like Extreme for it is because this was right before the debut weekend of the XFL.
Yes.
So that's very important to keep in mind okay, yes, this was out of nowhere, but it was also a vehicle to push that weekend's XFL.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Well, and I'd like to think I earned my seat on this show for some reason.
Well done. Well done. That was very impressive. And yeah, when you're watching the show, they heavily push the XFL. Ironic, because the XFL would be a big talking point this year, and now it's owned by The Rock.
Owned by The Rock.
It's just like, wow, this is weird. It's almost like we set this up.
Almost. It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Yeah. But look, I thought it was great. Again, the most random show that exists that you can watch. This and actually a lot of stuff from the SmackDown 6 would probably be on par to it. But the very first episode of SmackDown as well is something we'll probably talk about, because that's a banger too. Yeah, this is probably like the best episode of SmackDown you'll ever see. And that's not taking anything away. It's just like, wait till you see when we go through it.
Let's talk about why.
Yeah, so it opens with like a fantastic little table match. And the thing about it is, like, the Dudleys and the Hardys have obviously, at this point, we've seen a year of fantastic table matches. The Royal Rumble match, which we'll talk about at the Royal Rumble, stands out to it. And that's still my favorite table match between the two of them. But this is really, really good. And it's not super long. It's like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. Like, what
it's 8 minutes, but it felt like it was 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it had the build and feel of like a big match, and they kill each other. Some really cool, innovative stuff when Matt puts himself through the table to avoid it.
That's the standout for me.
Really
I maybe it's been done since in WWE. I don't know, but to my recollection, I've never seen somebody save a tables match by jumping off the top rope and putting their own selves through the table, so the table was already broken when their tag team partner went. That was one of the most brilliant spots, and I can't believe I'm complimenting Matt Hardy ever in my life. That is one of the most brilliant. I'm sure Jeff came up with it. That is one of the most brilliant spots I've ever seen in a table match. And then I fast forward to like 2008, and we got Sheamus versus John Cena, and Cena wins because Sheamus gets just kind of pushed through a table off the turnbuckle. And in my mind, I'm like, what happened in 7 years?
Innovation went out the window.
Yeah.
You know, like as I said, these guys have done a year where tables were a big part of their shtick, and they had like really learned how to make a tables match feel important.
There's psychology to it.
I have
A
to say,
tables match, a weapons match.
but the ending of it, with where it's brutal, where he takes him to the top of the walkway and puts him through the table. You're like, man, that's a brutal spot.
The Bubba Bomb is underrated when it's performed that way. If it's in the ring, it doesn't have that much of an impact. And like obviously when he does it to Mae Young, he does it more as like a powerbomb style. But oh my gosh, the Bubba Bomb itself looks amazing, but at the same time, it really protects your opponent. It's a very well thought out move.
But it looks like it kills you, which is the perfect wrestling, which is the perfect wrestling move. You know, that's
a 10-foot drop.
Yeah, and well, obviously, you know, with that, like you could tell that they had a bunch of padding and stuff, but
Darragh, don't.
But not like
I don't give it away.
But not
don't
like
spoil it, Darragh. It's still real.
But not.
Our listeners think it's still real. They still want us to cover modern day SmackDown. Clearly, they think wrestling's real.
That's a fair point. But
I'm kidding, guys. I think it's real too.
But today, now when you'd see it, to bring it up today, when you'd see a spot done like that, they wouldn't even move the padding. It's just like, oh yeah, there you go. You're like,
that's a good point.
What are you doing? Like,
what happened to the days where they would like move it out of the way real quick?
Yeah, like it's
like Kane would throw somebody off the stage, and by the time the camera cut to the side of the stage, the padding was gone. Mm-hmm. Especially back when the shows weren't live. Like SmackDown wasn't live for like years. So why were they still showing crap or stuff that they could have? Sorry, Ireland Radio, that they could have like edited out. I don't get that ever.
Complacency. That's all. Yeah. Complacency. You know, it's like, why should we? Like at this point, WWE were still competing against like WCW, even though 2001 WCW is the worst thing ever. Well, except for AEW. Well, you know, it's
and Tall Dude Yoga, DDP. Yeah, nice little stint.
Not 2001. No way. No, 2001 was like Sacrifice. And
I thought 2001 was like Booker T's reign.
Yeah, but that wasn't good, dude. That wasn't good. You know,
I mean, this just sounds like a WrestleMania 19 apologist. Is what this sounds like. I was just setting you up.
No.
But no, it was a fantastic tables match.
It was,
and it really set the stage. I mean, you can talk about something being a curtain joker, but it set the stage. Man.
But what I liked about this was it fed directly into the next match because whatever, like the way it's on the network, it's like obviously all the ads are gone, so it kind of cuts straight to them, and they're selling. All of them are selling that they're in bits after that match, and they're like, yeah, it actually felt like it had stakes. Well, I know it was for the championship, but again, the championships meant something.
Yeah, watching Lita come out and check on them and say, like, I'm going to pray for you and stuff. I don't know. There was something about it where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm invested. Exactly. I've never been a big Lita fan, but I was for SmackDown Xtreme. I thought she was fantastic all night.
For sure. The next match was the definition of, you know, a pee break.
Wait, really? This was not the dud I have. I enjoyed this match.
No, I enjoyed it too, but it was 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes.
Well, that's all it needed.
You know, it wasn't a
Sometimes a match only needs 2 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't a dud, but it was the same amount of a pee break where you go off and then have a drink afterwards.
Okay, but wait, hold on. I define a pee break match as a match that if you're not there and you come back, nobody's going to be talking about it and you didn't miss a thing.
Oh, fair enough.
That's not true for this match.
No,
because Lita took her shirt off. That's going to sound terrible out of context. But in this era, with these fans, people were hype. They went crazy for that moment.
And there is something I do want to talk about. I'm going to find where it actually...
Are we talking Cats later?
Yeah, Cats later. That's what I want to talk about, but not just yet. What I want to mention is Austin, throughout this whole show, Stone Cold Steve Austin is basically drinking in a bathroom.
He is. And also, guys, just a little inside note for those of you listening and watching it. This is called Darragh getting away from a topic.
No, it's. I need to bring it up. So basically,
well, to quote King, it's coming up.
Yeah, it is, and there's a reason why. But so yeah, Austin basically is sitting backstage.
It'd have been the King line of the night.
and he's drinking loads. But basically, the story going into this is that if Austin and Triple H attack each other, Austin loses his shot at WrestleMania, and Triple
Right.
H is suspended for 6 months. Now,
Right.
this ties into a phenomenal 3 stages of hell match, which we will cover
Yes.
because you will love it. It's absolutely phenomenal.
This also ties
and No
into
Way
the
Out.
fact that Austin legitimately got drunk at these shows.
Yeah, well, he was drinking the entire time.
Like
So
the
it's like-
entire show.
the
Like in
entire show.
WCW, they joke about it because like Nash and them and they would get like wasted, and you can see it on the product. But that kind of thing, generally speaking, didn't happen in WWE unless your name was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, because he
In
was
which case-
literally just
Yeah, yeah.
drinking the entire night.
I don't think he
And
knows
so-
what happened in the main event.
No, but what I do like about it is the fact that they do kind of cut back to it, and it's part of the story.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Triple H comes in and freaks out, and he's actually in his dressing room and takes a poop in his toilet, and it's really funny. Like it's just like he goes,
Childish, and yeah.
he's like, here, I'm sorry, do you want a beer? And Triple H just go, what? He's just losing it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Right, and then later there'll be a segment where he
Yeah.
comes back in and he opens the beer and it explodes on Triple H.
It's really
and
good.
like all of the backstage segments, and we've talked about this a lot from this era of booking, and this is even post the GOAT being there, booking, but and writing, but not booking rather. But I mean, everything connected throughout the show with at least Austin's storyline, and I loved it because then it tied into the main event.
Yep.
So it wasn't a throwaway. It wasn't we're gonna make a potty joke and LOL, the kids are gonna laugh. It led to the next segment and the next segment. I mean, these are things that a drunk would just do. Like it worked.
And that was it. And what I like about it is through the whole point in time you're watching the show, and it doesn't feel like you've wasted your time. It doesn't feel like
No.
it's throwaway segments. They all kind of weave this little tapestry, and it even week to week, because this was following on from Raw where Triple H had outsmarted Austin. So what was he going to do? Well, he's going to annoy the heart out of him.
Right.
Let's
This is
try
like
and
kind of the
antagonize him.
cerebral assassin. When did he get that moniker officially? Like 03? Or was
No,
it
he got
earlier?
it at this point.
Around this point, because you can see those seeds there, and you see Stephanie there with the the shirt that she was clearly in a cold room before coming out. And that's on purpose. Let's pretend it's like we're not going to pretend things aren't. They were doing things for certain effect.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is why Jericho would have segments where he makes fun of that.
Oh my gosh, I know we can't quote it on the radio
No,
in today's
but
world.
this is
But
where
that is the best nickname and promos that is my favorite Jericho promo
But
era.
This is the era. This is what
This is
Jericho
it.
does, and this is why, because he'd show pictures from her from 1999 and now and be like, "What happened? Did you get stung by a bee?" And it's hilarious. So yeah, like this is why, because
I'm not even going to give out the abbreviation, but oh my gosh,
no,
yeah,
but
just Google.
Jericho Stephanie.
Yeah, you're on YouTube watching our show right now.
Yeah.
Don't press pause, but when our show's over, or press pause, go watch it and come back. YouTube Jericho Stephanie McMahon promo, and you'll understand why it's some of his best work ever.
You'd have a great time. One thing I did like, actually, and I forgot that this was around the same time, because it's like, because it was so long ago, it's like 19 years ago.
So weird.
I forgot that so much was happening. So Evil Kai and Tai were at this point, and they're hilarious, where they just they would badly dub them like an old Hong Kong movie.
I forgot about that too, because in my mind, I just think of Funaki, #1 SmackDown announcer, that kind of like racist gimmick that they had given him by modern standards, I guess. This was funny. Like this is how you do a Japanese character without being offensive, and it worked.
Because you're playing off the ignorance of the West than anything else.
Exactly.
And it's great. It's really good. But I like the whole setup where Edge and Christian come out to cut a promo, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to have the toughest match of our life," and blah 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 blah. And they had actually just killed Kai and Tai like a week before. So
I want a pair of Christian's glasses. Can I get one?
Well, this is also the best Edge and Christian as well, where you get this is peak Edge and Christian, where they're just total D-bags. But
yeah, well, I like it. It makes sense that in 10 years from this point that Edge would be having his live sex celebration, because I forgot he used to come to the ring and like hump it on his way in.
Yep.
Oh, it actually does kind of work with your character. I just hadn't seen the prequel to like understand like the current version.
You see, that's a good point, right? So there's loads of stuff that happens on or did happen in a couple of years around WWE, that is vestigial to stuff that happened around now that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like pretty much the entire presentation of WWE makes no sense because it has nothing to link to it, right? But like certain things like the Edge and Christian stuff, even lately now with Edge, stuff they would bring up is like, I know what you're talking about. That was 20 years ago though.
Right.
Does Jimmy know what it? The 5-year-old, does he know
Well,
what you're talking about?
little Jimmy is getting drafted number 3 to Raw. I don't know if you saw our
that
truce board. So
yeah, I did. I knew the minute I said the name, I was like, oh, this is it. But like anyone who watches the show, or even yourself,
right.
there's certain things that the more we do this show and the more things we see, you'll start noticing really like, oh, that's what that's from. That's why that's there. And it's like, it's more and more vestigial it gets, where we're like, even the scratch logo that they had for years made no sense. It was like, that made sense years ago, didn't make it now, and then they replaced it, and you're like, okay, fair enough, that makes sense. The best one I can see is the biggest case in point is the people's elbow, right? Or any kind of heel move where it was done as a mockery,
right,
and then became its own thing. Where like the 5 knuckle shuffle, he's a heel. No way that actually hurts you. It's just
right.
yeah. And
It's supposed to. It's that.
It's an insult.
It's supposed to get the crowd really angry when he throws that hand up in the air.
But also the same with
the people's elbow.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is the people's elbow. The Rock was able to adapt it where people would love to catch the elbow pad going out into the crowd. So they would want to see it done so that maybe they get a souvenir. So the whole crowd gets hyped. With Cena, he never changed it when he became a face. And then he went into this weird like face heel role that he was forced into by the fans, and like he would take pride in the fact that they would kind of boo when he threw it up, and it was like, we get that you're paying homage to The Rock. Your entire moveset is homage to people that came before you if you really examine Cena's moveset, and I've explained this time again, so I won't get into it.
But what I mean is like
it just drives me crazy. Cena needed to adapt it.
But what I mean is the vestigial stuff in WWE is so weird. So when you go back and you're kind of picking at it and you're like, that makes no sense. Like even a tables match doesn't make any sense if the Dudleys aren't there, or if the whole thing isn't using the table. Why is the table match still there? It's like, it's just kind of, or the kendo stick, as we broke down, like it's weird that kendo stick still exists when Steve Blackman used the kendo stick and he's gone 19 years, right?
He kind of passed it on to Shane, but I get what you're saying. Like, for instance, let's say that next week on Raw, well, I don't even know who's going to be on Raw next week, but
I don't think they even know who's going to be on Raw next week. that's the truth of it.
They're probably still trying to figure out the draft. But let's say next week on Raw, they announce that Ricochet is going to have a match against Akira Tozawa, and it's going to be a buried alive match. Like, what?
Exactly.
You need to have my phone not falling off the table making noise. And B, you need to have Undertaker there or Kane there, or for that kind of match to occur. You can't have a Hell in a Cell match if it doesn't involve, Undertaker, Mankind, Triple H, or some element of them being involved. We've seen the successful ones and the bad ones.
Yeah,
the bad Shane McMahon, to his credit, did okay, but what Taker was in that match.
But we've seen what happens with that, where it's like they try to have random matches with like Orton and Sheamus in a Hell in a Cell match, and then it's not, and then it's just matching a cell.
Exactly, and it makes sense when we go back and we watch it.
Yeah, and like that's kind of something that I suppose for anyone who's watching this now, maybe keep an eye on it, because I'm noticing stuff that I'm like, oh wow, okay, this is stuff we're still seeing now, but it makes no goddamn sense. But anyway, so let's move forward.
For viewers wondering, I found my phone.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Whoa.
Yeah, what's up?
You never gave your thoughts on Lita.
Oh yeah, I have no problem with Lita.
You're a jerk. All right, let's go.
I have no problem with Lita. I like Lita.
You're not going to say it. Fine. Next.
So during this match, the APA come out and absolutely destroy Edge and Christian, like beat the hell out of him. And that dominator that Farouk gives to Christian, where he hits him so hard his hair falls out, and he's wearing a bit of his hair, is so funny. And I'm like, oh my god, how hard did he hit him? It's like he hit him really
Farouk was
hard.
awesome, man.
Yeah, but like it's not like, with the APA, you never questioned that they weren't actually tough guys. But this is the first time where I'm like, they actually went in and hit them so hard. Christian's hair fell out.
Well, and context.
Yeah.
ECW One Night Stand.
Yeah.
Layfield laying into the Blue Meanie.
Absolutely.
He was always doing this kind of stuff.
And you're like, wow, that must have sucked.
There's a reason he has a reputation as being a quote unquote enforcer for greener guys on the roster, because apparently he really was. And apparently he would even do it against, regular people on the roster, established people.
That's just wild, man. But yeah, look, this was a great match. Probably not for Edge and Christian, but for two heels that you really wanted to see getting beaten up by the APA, who were like super over. Great way to like get the crowd heated up again before in the midpoint when the mood was kind of down a bit.
Well, and you had the Kai and Tai thing, which the crowd was into, and they had shenanigans all throughout the match, which for 3 minutes and 39 seconds was impressive how much they got into this.
So for some reason Billy Gunn was there with China, and then Big Show kind of has a bit of a fit and shoves Billy Gunn up and sets up a match later on in the night. Okay.
I don't care.
Triple H then comes in, and this kind of sets up that Triple H is going to be in the main event, thanks to Stephanie having a talk with Vince.
Well, wait. We skipped Trish.
Did we skip Trish in the bubble bath?
Well, we can't. We can't get to Steph and her father if we don't address.
We did.
This show had a lot. They really were going for the extreme.
Right.
You had Lita. We mentioned we'll get to Kat, and let's talk about the most infamous, second most infamous Trish Stratus segment.
Well, some context.
Third most infamous.
Some context first.
Yes.
Trish was having an on-screen affair with Vince at this point. Yes. Because they were having an on-screen.
Was it just on screen?
The divorce segment thing with Linda, right?
No, seriously, was it just on screen?
I don't know. But Trish is in a bubble bath and on the phone, and oh my god.
It was real, guys, by the way.
I don't know, man. It's a very explicit segment.
It's
very explicit.
Amazing.
And this would obviously set up Vince leaving for some reason, because obviously they imply that she's on the phone to him.
Okay, hold on. You're being way too vague about this. So we got Trish Stratus in a bathtub.
Shoot.
She's moving around. She's playing with the bubbles and whatnot. She's getting at pretty much as most as you can show on network TV. She's showing at this point. She even takes her finger in some whipped cream at one point, takes a nice little licks it, and then she makes a phone call. Like, come on, let's if we're gonna talk, we gotta talk. If this is SmackDown Xtreme, then this needs to be the Wrestling Rewind Extreme.
Okay. we'll get an X for the logo.
The logo this week, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nerd to Know Media goes extreme. What you never saw Pikachu doing with Mewtwo.
Oh God.
Rule 34.
The worst thing about that is that probably exists.
That's why I said Rule 34.
I really just know.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. If it exists, if it exists, there's porn of it. Rule 34. Rules of the internet, my friend. Rule of the internet.
Welcome to the internet.
So basically, look, this sets up. The great thing about this show is it does kind of push forward all the storylines, and there's a lot going on. And even if it's just one segment, it's like that actually ties into something that's going to be a big deal at WrestleMania a month later. And that's crazy.
Exactly.
There is
one thing that bothered me about this segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I was waiting for a little setup there.
Yeah,
thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. Who lights that many candles when they're in the bath? Unless you have a bunch of producers around you.
I don't know, man. She's nothing else to do. She wasn't wrestling. Bored.
No, if you want to take a bath and you want to make a seductive phone call, why are you going to light 75,000 candles? That makes no sense.
Some people like candles, man.
Nobody lights that many candles, man.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. How many candles do you light when you're having a bath? Is it more? Is it 75? Prove Dave wrong.
Yes. If you're in a bubble bath and you're trying to call Vince McMahon to seduce him, what is the appropriate number of candles to light?
Exactly.
That's the poll of the week.
We need to know. These are important things. The next match I enjoyed a lot. Like Jericho's the IC champ. He had probably one of the best ladder matches that we're not allowed to talk about on WWE, aren't allowed reference, which is
Shame.
so sad. But
He
it's
makes fun of that dude
he
in
does,
this segment,
but
actually.
he always makes fun of him. That's kind of like what his gimmick was, you know.
Right, yeah. What makes fun, but yeah.
But yeah, cuts a great promo saying, "Hey, look, I've beaten everybody. You know, there's no one more extreme than me." Blah blah blah.
Which is, a little sly reference to ECW.
It's a direct reference to ECW, and
especially when you consider who walks out
and the time period that we're in.
Exactly.
So this was around the same time as well. That obviously we mentioned there was a great uncertainty with ECW, and a lot of ECW talent was in WWE. So Taz comes out, and I actually forgot Taz was still wrestling at this point because he was so, like, he really only had like a year as a competitor.
He was already doing commentary on Heat at this point, right?
He was. This is when he just started doing commentary. So I remember this, but I honestly thought he was still wrestling more than this, you know. So when he showed up, I was like, oh wow, Taz is still wrestling at this point. Yep. And a year later, he would be full-time commentator, basically. But yeah,
I don't miss that, by the way. If anyone's curious, don't miss it.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I was really sad that Taz stopped wrestling because I thought he had probably one of the best...
I meant Taz on commentary. I don't miss.
Oh well, you know, you can watch that horrible company, and he's there all the time. Stop putting him on commentary. Christ.
Wait.
He's on AEW commentary.
Wait, since when?
Like last week. Last month.
Wait, is Excalibur still there?
Yeah, but he just shows up on commentary sometimes.
So now they have 4 commentators?
Yeah, they can't help themselves. They have no idea what they're doing.
It didn't work for American Idol. The ratings went down. What are you doing? 3 people max.
No, but even still, just Taz is not a good commentator. I'm sorry. Unless he has Paul Heyman there with him. It just doesn't work. But anyway.
Taz is there in any situation to get himself over first and foremost. And
Always.
if he can't get himself over, he's going to get a check from the dirt sheets to sell somebody out. There, I said it. Facts.
That's what he does. His first thing in AEW was he brought back the championship that he invented, the FTW championship, and put himself over. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to see this anymore. I really like you know, I really liked you in ECW. I loved when you came to WWF. That's enough. But anyway, this match, I thought was really good. They worked really well together. Jericho wasn't like he wasn't as heavy. Like, he wasn't a heavyweight. He was still kind of light. And
Taz, I mean, people often forget how short Taz is, but Taz looked a bit slimmer here than normal.
He did, but the two of them were obviously a fair bit younger, and they were really able to work well together, with Taz being the heavier kind of ground and pound submission guy. Absolutely. But what was great about it was Jericho also was able to just kind of wrestle with him, like properly do a bunch of cool exchanges. There's a really nice kind of exchange with the roll up into the clothesline, and then an enziguri, which was that was beautiful.
Beautiful.
But the end of it was really cool, where Taz went for the Taz mission, and then the Bulldog Lionsaw for the win. I thought this was like a really, really competitive little match that I don't think anyone expected, and it's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, it's probably one of the best WWE Taz matches that you'll find, because it's Jericho in his prime.
And that's, I hate to say that because I know he's a big deal still in 2021 or whatever year we're in.
It's
I'm just
different.
trying to 2020.
Yeah, but look, it's different. Like,
Jericho's prime is, in my mind, and it's just my mind, Jericho's prime is 1999 till 2008.
2003, and then he comes back and he has that different run, 2008.
That 2007 run was so good.
Yeah, like when he comes back with the Sue and the whole Jericho thing, that's a whole new level. But like the kind of
so you're talking about prime, like I'm super young, I'm cutting insane promos you're never going to see again. Then yes, you're right, 99 to 2003 for sure.
Because I think like a lot of the stuff that he did in WCW and ECW, that was all kind of beta testing, and he has some incredible matches, but like he had everything figured out coming into the WWE, and he just does some absolutely really innovative, unique things, which we've seen forever, but people have like ripped them off, and that's why.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, because the viewers are going to be like, oh, here he goes again. But do you view Jericho's entrance into the WWE? Now, obviously, he does it at a much younger age and has is a lot younger when he does it, and is a lot more fluid and stuff because of his age. But do you view everything he collected from ECW and WCW as like beta testing and then bringing it to WWE? the same way that it was done with TNA and New Japan, and then AJ comes into WWE, and they're both. Chris Jericho was not expected to be a main event level star when he came into WWE. AJ Styles was not expected to be a main event level star, but they both had these backgrounds.
The difference, yes and no.
Do you think the difference is that AJ was so well established that there was no holding him back, and Jericho had to earn it a bit more? Or
no, AJ's best work is in TNA, right?
Yeah, King of the Mountain matches.
Those King of the Mountain,
his triple threats with Joe and
and Daniels and stuff like that.
I don't know though. I mean, well, yeah.
What I mean
he
is
doesn't do the spiral tap anymore. I know, I get it.
What I mean is, if AJ had come in 5 years beforehand,
well, that's what I'm saying though.
Then it would have, then you'd be right. Like I think
if he had come in at that earlier age, like with that kind of experience, could he have been a new Jericho?
I think he would have surpassed Jericho.
Yeah,
and in many ways he kind of has already. It's more just the most innovative stuff that he's done. He's limited by the fact that he's a bit older, and you can't do the things that he did.
Well, now, we saw.
I could never do those things. Like normal person, right? Like even
look, I mean, we saw what he did in 2016, 2017 when he was main eventing these shows, and he was, he was doing a springboard 450 to the outside through a table. Yeah, I that was in WWE. That was amazing. That match against Ambrose, will go down as one of the best TLC matches of all time.
Yeah, no, like it's
but can AJ do that now in 2020? Would he do that to his butt? I don't know.
Well, the thing about it is, like, Jericho,
Jericho was innovative not just with his moveset, which was great, but also innovative with matches.
It's more kind of like a different set, because TNA was built on this kind of family feel, right? Where
it was built around it was basically kind of like a grassroots political campaign, is how you can think of TNA.
And that's why it kind of had that loyalty.
Right. And it was Jarrett and it was AJ, and let's see what happens.
But the same problem that with, Sting, that held Sting there, was what held AJ there, where it's like, well, I made a promise, I made a commitment to stay here.
Very loyal.
Come hell or high water. And it's just like, it's the same thing. Like, AJ and Sting should have been like, I'm leaving. I went to WWE, gave them a good 10 years, and then it would have been it, but they didn't. It just is what it is.
Well, I think it's not that AJ didn't try necessarily. He just waited till the money was right.
Yeah, I think it's a good comparison.
For that? I mean, he was making good money in TNA.
But here's the thing, man. I would argue that New Japan run primed him for WWE.
It kind of got him where he had to feel like, I need to, because at that point he's like, I have to prove myself so that the number one company in the world hires me, and I got to do it in the most brutal company in the world.
But the difference was Jericho didn't do that. Jericho came from WCW, and that first year was not a cup of tea for Jericho. Even the second year wasn't a cup of tea for Jericho. It was only
it wasn't supposed to be a cup of tea for AJ either.
No, but what I mean is, if Jericho had have done that move, let's say, if he had went to New Japan or whatever, and then had that and came in, he probably would have had a much easier time coming into it. But we also have to bring in, if AJ came into WWE in 1999, let's say, he still had to compete with Rock.
It would have been bad.
Undertaker.
He never would have gotten over. I mean, he never wouldn't have happened.
Well, he would have got over, but in the same.
You really think so? I mean,
hold on. Hold on. What I mean is.
Well, everybody was over.
He would have got over in the same time as Jericho. Once it opened up.
It's so weird to think of them as contemporaries.
Well, that's what happened, because I think your comparison is very apt. With Jericho, he's kind of like the archetype proto guy who opened the doors for these people. Without Jericho, there's no Benoit, there's no Malenko, there's no Saturn, there's no Eddie. There's no anybody, right? He kind of was like, hey, look at all the stuff that I can do. Let me bring my mates in. I think.
Yes, and that's the most important part, because people always say, oh, Shawn Michaels. Well, show me who Shawn Michaels brought into the company and then became world champions themselves.
Absolutely.
That's the argument I would offer up.
And I think AJ would have done very much the same thing. He would have been like, hey, I'm going to open the doors, going to pay my dues for a year, and then we're going to open stuff up. Because the danger what could have happened with these guys, and it did actually happen to Jericho. He talks about it in his book. He got bumped down to the hardcore division. He got bumped down to the, and even when they bumped him down to the European division, the Intercontinental division, he started having matches like this.
Yeah.
So I think AJ would have done the same thing.
So anyway, that concludes your random David has to talk about AJ Styles section of the night. Let's get back to the final.
It's a good discussion to have. So look, we had a segment then where oh man,
why don't you talk about this one, man? Because I want you to cover it as detailed as I did Trish Stratus.
Right. So the cat comes out, and
I think you heard a knock, man. I hope we get a.
It's okay. It's okay. We just have a segment where someone just comes in, and then it's like, you know.
Oh, I love this. Yeah. I love this because it always happens at the worst possible times. And I threw this question to Darragh, not knowing that would happen. Yeah. Please, Darragh, don't get low with your voice. Please be excited. I want to make sure that our listeners can really hear everything that you want to say about this segment.
So the cat comes out, and she talks about SmackDown being extreme, and Jerry the King Lawler is losing his mind.
Why?
Because they were married.
Yeah, but I don't think that's just why he was losing his mind. There has to be more to it, Darragh.
Because she starts stripping and she promises to give full frontal.
Full frontal what? I'm confused. She's going to put up a billboard? I'm very confused.
Her quote is full frontal nudity. And she manages to get her pants off, and then they'll write the censor come out and cover her up. Then Richard goes on a rant. Lawler says that
this makes me so happy.
Lawler says that he hates him. And yeah. So.
Darragh's never been so happy to have a mic close to his mouth so he can basically whisper in his life.
But what's funny about this is a month later, the cat would be the reason that Jerry King Lawler leaves the company for like a year.
Yes. And since we're doing this whole past precedes the future, this really had Kelly ECW vibes, where she would try and be stripping, and then Mike Knox, thank you. Mike Knox would come out and cover her up. It was basically Right to Censor doing that with people like Kat. It's like we're talking about this, like wrestling recycles itself. And there you go. Another great example.
Yeah, every 8 years. That's when the cycle is. I did really enjoy the horrible.
You really did enjoy Kat's segment? That's good to know, Darragh.
No, the Tough Enough segment, the auditions.
Oh, I love those. And I was watching real hard to see if any of those people ever made it on.
They didn't. No. Here's one thing I don't understand, and let me know in the comments below, guys. Why do people have fake wrestling titles and then like hold them like they won them? I don't understand that. Makes no sense.
So that one day you grow up and you're John Cena and they show that video of you as a 9-year-old holding up your fake title.
But these weren't 9. These were like grown adults.
Wait, you don't have one?
No.
Neither do I.
But I don't know. I thought it was really cringy when they're cutting promos and they're holding like their belts and you're like, calm down. You haven't even got a contract yet. Why are you holding the belt?
I will say though, I love the one dude who, I'm sorry, CM Punk, but no, I'm not. Screw you for calling AJ Styles a flat earther. I did like the one kid who looked like, an ROH CM Punk. It was just like, I want to be a WWE star because I can like entertain people. I'm really good at entertaining. Yeah. And he had like the fake blonde hair and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, it's CM Punk. I was like, is it? I don't know. I need to go look.
Oh no, it was. I'm glad they kept that in because I wasn't sure what they were going to cut out, but I'm really glad that's there. It's great for posterity. Then we had the Triple H Austin segment where Austin spills beer all over him and leaves. So also The Rock abuses Kevin Kelly and says a slur at him, which is like
it was bleeped. That's what I noticed about this episode. There were things that were bleeped. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, it's because like
This was network television, though. Like that's what is interesting. Like, this is stuff that they deemed fit for broadcast television, free television
But if The Rock
in
said,
2001.
that's what if someone said in WWE what The Rock said during this promo, they'd be cancelled. So, it is what it is. It just shows you that it's of its time. What did you think of Big Show versus Billy Gunn? Because that was a terrible match. That's absolute drizzling.
What I thought was there was a match after it. Let's talk about that.
Fair. And yeah, the Big Show killed Billy Gunn basically. So
I don't know. It was terrible. Was this
terrible.
right? When did Big Show start wearing a t-shirt?
Around this time.
Yeah, around this time.
Yeah.
I kind of like the slimmer, trunk wearing, like Andre the Giant style looking Big Show before he went for like the suspender look. Me personally, that's all I have to say about this match. It was crap. Don't watch it. Skip it. I don't know why this was longer than Lita taking her shirt off. That should have had as many minutes as this match. Just terrible.
One thing I did like though, I missed the Big Show doing choke slams. I think that is more realistic than a punch. Like,
what happened to choke slams?
I don't know.
High in the air.
I don't know. Like, that was the big thing about the Big Show, and you start doing punches, and it's like, this is stupid. Just do a choke slam.
Age, I get it with age, but like, even, and I know Taker's older now, and Kane's okay. I get that, but if we get another big guy like Braun, let's say Braun, they give him the choke slam or something. I want to see people as high up in the air as Billy Gunn gets, where you're like over the person's shoulder. That's what makes choke slams cool, not Undertaker giving a choke slam to Goldberg and Goldberg jumps 8 inches in the air. The hell is that?
Ridiculous. Carry on. But the next match, first blood match. So I didn't like Haku and Rikishi as a team. I thought it was always weird as a kid, and as an adult, I still think it's weird. But very decent match. What did you think with it? It's just a brawl place, basically. I tell you one thing: Haku and Rikishi bleed so much. It's ridiculous.
And Rikishi didn't even need to. I liked it actually a lot. I thought it was funny that this is the second first blood match involving the Undertaker in a row that we've watched together, where the Undertaker's already bleeding before the match starts.
Yep.
I don't know what's up with that. I don't know
know
if that's some character trait that like is in like some weird statistic book, but I love that. If you're wrestling historians out there listening, let me know like if he has the record for most first blood matches entered while already cut open, because that's great.
But it was cool because it tied into Kane's legendary performance where he at the Royal Rumble. It didn't really,
unfortunately, beat
Bubba. Yes, it gave them stuff to do basically until WrestleMania. But what's weird about this is like this kind of Kane Undertaker thing would just carry on at random points, 2001, and then stop again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a weird.
Do you think it's on purpose that Kane and Undertaker both have red hair and they made them brothers? Like, what? I realized that this week when I was watching. Like, I always forget that they both have red hair until like, unless you look at their facial hair or like their hair elsewhere on their body. Like, obviously, Undertaker dyes his, and Kane would dye or shave his. But this is the first time I noticed where I was like, maybe they're getting away with the brother thing because they both have red hair.
Some people,
I notice really random things in wrestling. People, sorry.
I love the meme where people are like, what was the biggest lie I was ever told? And it's like the Undertaker and Kane were brothers.
I mean, they are.
As a kid.
Now, what are they officially? Half brothers?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Kane is Paul Bearer's son.
Yeah.
And his mom is Undertaker's mom.
Yeah.
But they have different fathers.
Yeah.
Who is that father?
I don't know. I don't think they ever specified.
Who is Undertaker's father? Because in the documentary, The Last Ride, Undertaker talked about his father coming to see him at a show one time. Why was this not on TV? I want to know more. He said that his dad made fun of him for putting on eyeliner. Why would he do that if he was raising his son to be demonic? I'm confused.
Maybe this sets up the match against Sting next year.
I'm just going to leave dead air.
Okay. So we have a WWF title match, which is crazy. WWF title match.
On SmackDown.
Yeah, on SmackDown with The Rock, Triple H, and Kurt Angle.
Right?
All right. Just pay-per-view quality match. Just there.
Just there.
This was a fantastic match. This was one of the best triple threat matches I've ever seen.
Whoa.
It was.
Come
Come
on.
on. It was really good. It was really good. Also, do you know Triple H didn't spit the water out? And I was really upset that he didn't. I was like, what?
No, well, he was already wet from the beer.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. That's
Well,
not the
there is.
point.
There's a danger to being too wet, man.
That's not the point. The point is, he didn't do it. And I was like, what are you doing, man? You're killing me here. So, but yeah, like a really good match, but was ended by Austin basically coming up and screwing it basically. So Angle hits Triple H with the low blow to break up the pedigree, rolls him up. There's no referee. Austin comes in and uses the referee's hand to do the fastest count of all time.
Is that legal?
No, it's not.
I think it is.
I don't know. I guess so. It's more illegal than Paul Heyman counting because that doesn't make any sense. But I suppose it is the referee's hand, so it's like okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean, okay. Other poll question: Do pin counts need to be consensual from the referee? Discuss.
Well, hold on. Poll question for people: which is less like official? Paul Heyman randomly deciding to count, or this Austin using someone else's hand to count the referee to count it? So I would say both are equally like BS because the referee was unconscious and Paul Heyman is just Paul Heyman. Like, technically he could just do that now. He could just come out and be like, okay, I'm just going to count myself, but I guess it was an ECW ring, so that's probably why. But
I guess so. I mean, he was running the show at one point. What if we saw Kevin Dunn run out on Raw? Is he there anymore? He might have gotten fired. I really don't pay attention.
Kevin Dunn
a couple years ago, let's say, when Kevin Dunn was running Raw, what if one week he just ran out and did the pin count?
Or hold on, who's the guy that's running it now? He does something to wrestle with. Bruce Pritchard. Can Bruce Pritchard come out and count it? Is that what he can do?
Is Kevin Dunn not involved at all? Because he did it for like what, 25 years?
He does production.
And then he got fired or something.
He's doing the production.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. He's the guy that's in charge of the TV aspect, right?
Bruce Pritchard is in charge of booking the show.
Oh, they switched those roles during the quarantine words that I can't say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So overall, Dave, I'd give the show a solid B.
What?
Well, I'd give it a solid B plus.
Oh my gosh! You had Lita, you had Trish, and you have Kat, and you don't give this an A plus. Who are you?
Okay,
no, this was a very solid for an episode of SmackDown. Show me a better episode of SmackDown. This was an A plus for an episode.
I can show you a better. I will show you a better episode of SmackDown.
Maybe that deserves an A plus as well.
I definitely will.
Coming from a 4.0 student, I'm aware that you can get an A plus more than once, Darragh.
But it says this is one of the best episodes of SmackDown, but not the best episode of SmackDown. We will get to those. I'm endeavoring. Thanks to the comment on the show last week, I actually am going to find really good episodes of SmackDown because
it's not what you wanted, but it's what you're going to get.
No, because I'm not covering the current product.
Well, we're answering. We're doing what he wants. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at @TheDaveStevens. Hashtag Save Dave. I'm going to repeat that for you. @TheDaveStevens. Please follow me. I desperately need you.
Save Dave. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, so guys, if you want to follow the show, you can go over to Nerd to Know Media for all the links to all the shows where they're coming around Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. A bunch of updates coming soon. Website is going to be rejiggered. We're going to launch over to our new channel, The Wrestling Rewind. So if you want to help us there, you can subscribe. The show is not going anywhere. We're still going to be on Nerd to Know Media, but we will be over there and doing some stuff on that side of things too.
Have we been talking about this since June to you? Yes. Is it October? Yes. Was Trish in a bubble bath? Yes. All of these things will happen.
Do I finally have time to do it?
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, isn't that the real? Yeah.
So
how dare us have actual jobs and lives, Darragh?
Absolutely.
Why aren't we in our teens doing this anymore?
Finally, I know, right? It's really annoying. It's just like all those 10 years wasted. Like
we took it for granted, man.
We took it for granted. It's like you do all this stuff. But yeah, so guys, that's what we're going to be doing relatively soon. There's a bunch of new shows. Actually, funny enough, this week is kind of like a break for Nerd to Know Media. Everyone's just kind of taking a break from doing their shows. And last week I took a break, my annual break from doing shows. So everything's going to come back now over this week and next week, and we'll roll out. So keep an eye on our social media. The whole changes are going to happen.
Where can you find that social media? Probably on Nerd to Know Media, but you know where you can find even better social media? At @TheDaveStevens. Follow me.
Save Dave. Dave is on
Save
Twitter
Dave.
a lot more than I am, and
Yeah,
Adam
like
about
once a
everything.
week. Please follow
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. Because we'll be back next week. We're going to get through that fan submitted show soon as well. If you have anything
Yes.
you want us to cover, please do leave the comments below. We really appreciate them. Or you can just email us at nerd to know or nerd to know media at gmail.com is probably the best direct way, or Facebook or anything like that. But comments below really do help. So
Or
we'll be
tweet
back.
me at the Dave Stevens.
Yeah, we'll do that too. Again, thanks to James Truepenny and the Truepenny channel for having us on as well. And yeah, we'll be back, guys, same time next week here on the Wrestling Rewind. Bye, guys.
Bye.